Breaking news of the unbelievable U.S. deal at the recent February 26th Aqaba Summit. Don't stop, don't skip. Stay tuned for the breakdown. I'm Joshua, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. As always, go ahead and subscribe, click that notification bell, and get engaged in the topic. Before we jump into today's show, I want to thank today's sponsor. That's Israeli Good Wine. If you've not heard of Israeli Good Wine, go to israeligoodwine.com to check them out. Specifically right now is just before Passover. Go ahead and get your box of wine there. Go passover.israeligoodwines for more information. We're kicking off today with, I'm stunned. I'm in utter shock at this breaking news just revealed on Israeli Channel 14 News. Here it is. We're going to go right in. We're diving right into the topic. Number one, this is straight from the Aqaba Summit that just happened February 26th. And these plans have now been released of what the U.S. is pressuring Israel to allow to happen in PA-controlled areas. U.S. plans, I quote, provide 5,000 Palestinians with commando training in Jordan, and then deploy them to northern Samaria and perhaps to South Hebron Hills. That's just number one. Number two, to sharply curtail IDF counter-terror operations. That's one. And two. Number three, the operation foresees the deployment of foreign forces, including U.S. military forces on the ground. This is what the U.S. was proposing to do on the international stage concerning Israel and the Palestinians. They're going to now get 5,000 Palestinians professional training in order to what they say would be to calm the situation. Now, let's dive into this. What is the idea? Why would you commando train Palestinians? Why? We've done this before. We've seen this incredibly familiar with the Oslo Accords. The idea, before we dive into what that was and what this is so similar to, let's just tell you what this is. The goal is to create the IDF, they want to pull the IDF out of Judea and Samaria, what the world calls the West Bank. They want to pull the IDF out of these areas, these so-called Arab areas, and create an Arab force to maintain peace in this area. They want to create anti-terror units within the Arab terror group itself. Sound familiar? This is what the whole Arab world is full of. This is what America is known for. Proxy wars in countries all over the world. They're trying it now in Israel. They have now introduced this idea that they could come into a terror bed and create another faction of that terror bed and train them and give them the best of American training and skill and weapons and bullets and you name it, and not expect that to turn on Israel. It's absolutely shameful of what is happening. Let's go back and recognize that this has already happened before. This is nothing new. The Oslo Accords were signed in 1993. Yasser Arafat, let's quote Yasser Arafat as being the chief at the time here in the Arab area. He says, I quote, "I come bearing an olive branch in one hand and the freedom fighter's gun in the other." This is what he told the UN General Assembly in 1974. Now, this is so true. With the Oslo Accords were signed in 1973, nothing changed. And it's still today the Palestinian Authorities' number one line, whether they tout that line or not. This is the truth. They are aiming to obliterate the people of Israel. What happened when America joined the Oslo Accords and pushed to establish the PEO as the bearers of peace in their neighborhoods and in their towns? Well, they asked them to renounce violence, and supposedly they did. And they were granted that the PA would be armed and they would create a police force within the PA. Okay, the Fatah faction took that over, and today the police force is turned into another armed and trained unit that attacks IDF soldiers and Israeli citizens with arms from abroad. Training from abroad. That happened in the Oslo Accords, and since the Oslo Accords, 1,656 Israelis have been killed due to that one agreement, the Oslo Accords agreement. Now, what's the difference in this accord and what the U.S. is now proposing again? The difference is America's going on steroids with it. They want to train commandos, not just set up a police force and establish a relationship, help them to be established. Let's have coordination with Israel. They're going deep to establish 5,000 commandos with the best American training and supply, which, folks, we know that this will turn. These commandos are no other than terrorists themselves. The what could be turn into commandos are no other than terrorists themselves. If we look back in the Oslo Accords, who was those police force? Who was the police force that they created in 1993 with the Oslo Accords and those permissions that were granted? They were no other than PLO terrorist, Palestinian Liberation Organization terrorist from before. The same today. The U.S. is pushing to establish, again, give guns to terrorists when they still are paying Arabs to kill Jews. The very entity that the U.S. is working with to establish this 5,000-member combat unit of commandos are themselves a part of the terror infrastructure. The leaders, the PA, are a part of it. They sponsor it. They have the pay-to-slay program still active in their government. And the U.S. is actually still funding that. Now, I want to look at what happened here. Let's look at a recent. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was just here in Israel in January. While he was here, 7 Israelis were murdered by terrorists. And what was America's response? This is a wake-up call. This is for you to understand what's actually going on here. What was America's response? Anthony Blinken was on the ground here. He saw it live. What was his response? His response was, give the PA more money. Give the Palestinians more money. Give their corrupt leaders more money. Line the pockets of corruption with more money. That's what he did. And on top of that, he says, infrastructure. Let's increase infrastructure for these terror organizations. Let's give them 4G service. 4G service was not yet in that area. 4G service was now provided to these terror factions. The infrastructure is being put in now for these, again, by the U.S. The U.S. is pushing to establish 4G service to these areas. And again, they also wanted to advance the idea that there should be a special Palestinian consulate in East Jerusalem. These were the 3 things that Anthony Blinken, again, upon the murder of 7 Israelis, continued to push forward. This is America. This is what we're finding. This is what America is pushing. On top of that, I will add, America is sending funding to the protest happening in Israel right now. That is also breaking news. America is helping to fund the anti-government protests that are happening in Israel right now against Benjamin Netanyahu because the American left is pushing and propping up the Israeli left in order to overthrow conservative Israel. They're also now targeting the IDF, pushing and promoting the protests that are happening amongst even troops, leftist troops in the Israeli forces. These things are unacceptable for an ally. Israel stands alone on the world stage, and its only true ally, America, is sensing the instability and is destabilizing further by strengthening the enemies of Israel, by aiding and funding protests in a foreign country, Israel. How can you get more evil than this? To prop the enemy and to give them funding, to give them training, to train those that will become murderers of Israelis? This is audacious and unacceptable. Guys, it's time to do something. It's time to make your voice loud and clear. Call every congressperson, every member of government that you can get a hold of. Ring the offices. Let them know that now, more than ever, we must stand with the people of Israel. We must. And you, the people of America, have an opportunity to let your voice be heard. Guys, on that note, the Israel guys, we are coming to America. We will not stand idly by anymore. We've been on the ground here in Israel for many, many years. We're coming back to America, and we're having rallies. We will be having rallies across America. We want you to be there. It's time to raise your voice in support of Israel's heartland, in support of Israel's sovereignty over the heartland. Support Israel to defeat their enemies, to establish Israel in strength, in complete ability to stand firm without the attacks of their enemies, to stand strong against terrorism. Not to say, Israel, pull away your anti-terror units, but go in and attack the enemy. We're coming to Nashville, March 26th. We'll be in Dallas on the 30th. More events are popping up. You should go to theisraelguys.com to check out more information about the rallies. We are coming to America, and we wish all of you to join us as we rally support for Israel's heartland. We want the voice to be heard loud and clear from America that Israel, that America, we, the people, support Israel and Israel's right to defend itself and to defend its heartland. Guys, on that note, we'll wrap up in conclusion here. Don't forget to check out the Israeli Good Wines. Click in the description below for more information about that, israeligoodwines.com. Tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the heartland of Israel. I'm Joshua, and we are back here every day of the week. So don't forget to stay tuned to the Israel guys. We're here, and stay tuned. Don't be buying that leftist media that is continuing to troll the whole world. Lock into the truth right here at the Israel guys.